everyone, welcome back to our channel. So in this video you're going to see us refurbish this stove that we bought on Facebook Market. We're also going to go over the floating shelves that we did for the kitchen. And then last but not least, we're going to go over quickly the floor that we chose for the living room / kitchen. So if you guys know me by now, you know I'm all about saving money. Yes, we could have bought a new stove, but that was not in our budget. So what was in our budget was to actually find one on Facebook Market because there was no stove for the previous kitchen. With that, I'm always looking on Facebook Market, and luckily there's plenty of them on around where we live. So we actually found this one for $50. It was $50, and then we actually gave him an extra $20 to deliver it for us because we do not have a truck. So altogether, this was like $70. It was a little rusty and dirty, of course. So the first thing I did was clean it. That was a must. I did a deep clean inside and out of the stove. It probably took me a good hour or so to really scrub and clean this stove inside and out. But of course, I didn't mind it because, we needed a stove on the cheap, and this was the best option for us. In the future, we do plan on buying a new stove for the kitchen. We wanted to go with a stainless steel stove, but that is down the road, of course. And then, we'll see what happens in a couple of years, to be honest. Our plan is to renovate this house and then sell it within 5 years, or, at the end of 5 years, and then actually buy a new mobile home with our own land. That is, what our future plans are. So we'll see. If we feel like we don't need to put money into, getting new appliances and all of that, we just won't do it. So we'll see down the road. But this is a good stove. Once it's clean, sanded, and repainted, it looks great. It looks new. It looks really good in the kitchen. I did go with white. I thought white was better for like space wise. If you're in a small space like a mobile home, you don't want any appliances that are going to look dark and heavy in your space. And I think that will make more sense actually when you guys see the kitchen reveal, how having a white stove, white cabinets, it does make it look more spacious versus having like darker cabinets. I know our bottom cabinets are darker. It's that darker blue. However, the contrast with the white and the blue looked really good. But, we'll go over that when I actually do the reveal with you guys. And I am hoping that next video is going to be the reveal. There is a couple of things that I still want to do before the reveal. So I'm trying to decide whether I'm just going to give you guys the reveal on the next video and then go over what we did with the extra stuff that's unfinished. But, we'll see. Because I'm really excited about showing it to you guys. I know you guys are excited about it. I really thank everyone for subscribing and, keeping on with watching our videos. I'm always happy to do these videos and actually share it with you. And I'm hoping that these tips and you guys seeing what we do all the time really motivates you to do that as well with your own house. So with that, as you can see, this is what I'm doing with the stove. Once I cleaned it, I'm doing the sanding. I put this drill and this bit together to actually get a lot of the rust that was on top. It is, it's old, but this actually did work, sanding it Took a lot of the rust out before I started to paint it. Take your time with this. Don't rush through it, because you just want to make sure that what you're doing is going to be correct and it's not going to look ugly when you actually put this in your kitchen. I did take my time with it, especially with the rust. I wanted to make sure I got all of the rust out, because I knew that I was going to be annoyed by seeing the rust and then trying to paint over it. So I wanted to make sure that it was going to be really smooth for the reveal. Alright, so after I cleaned and sand, I was ready to spray. This is the spray that I used the first time. This did not work. And the reason why it didn't work is because it is not heat resistant. We actually thought it would be okay because it was like for kitchen appliances. And I'm going to tell you, I did spray this on the refrigerator and it worked great. But I noticed that it didn't work on this when we started to actually cook on the stove and in the oven. The heat was yellowing the paint. So the stove top was completely like yellow. It just didn't look good at all. And I was really disappointed because I was really happy with the results when I actually sprayed this and let it cure. Before we put it in the kitchen, I was really excited. I was like, oh, it looks so good. But then when we started to cook on it, we were like, yeah, I don't think this is for the stove. The paint is yellowing. I think we got the wrong one. And we did. But I'll show you guys in a second the one that actually did work for stoves and ovens. That is heat resistant, and that is what you want to use. So yeah, lesson learned. With everything, it's trial and error with us. We've never done this before. I've never had to refurbish a stove before, so I have no idea. We just grabbed this spray because it was for appliances, so I thought it would work, but unfortunately it didn't. But like I said, lesson learned. So what are you gonna do? You just make mistakes, you try to correct it, and then you redo it with something else. And that is what we had to do. So a little bummer for us at that time. I was really disappointed because, like I said, it looked really good. But also make sure that you are covering everything that you don't want to spray. Like you see how I taped up inside the stove top there, and then also the window of the oven. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to spray everything. And I have to say, I noticed really quick that that whole yellowing and not being heat resistant when we actually put it in the kitchen and then I turned on the oven because I wanted to spray the easy off. I did want to do an extra deep clean for the oven part of this stove. So that's when I started to notice that yellowing on top. But yeah, so this is what we used afterwards. So I had to actually sand again the stovetop. So I just did the stovetop because that was the only section that I actually noticed it yellowing. So I sanded, cleaned again, and then sprayed with that one. So make sure that you are using a heat resistant spray when you're refurbishing your stove, just to let you know. All right, so moving on, this is what we had to do for the floating shelves. This was really easy. We just got we went to Home Depot, we got the lumber, we looked at what lumber we wanted, and we bought the lumber for like, I think it was like an 8-foot lumber for $10. I think it was $10 or $12. So that whole sheet we cut into 3 sections. So once we did our measurements of where we wanted the floating shelves, how long we would want it, we did our cuts. And then the process for us was pretty easy. We thought about doing the whole brackets and having that show, and just kind of do like a shelving unit, but I really thought that the floating shelf would look better without the brackets. And then honestly, the brackets were really expensive at Home Depot. I mean, and anywhere really, if you think about it, because you relatively need like 2 brackets, but you need those bigger, heavier ones because your lumber is heavy and you don't want it to fall. So those brackets cost about like $10 each. And then we were doing 3 shelves. So, do your math. That's going to cost a lot of money. So, and then I actually thought about buying one that came with the hardware, buying the shelf with the hardware instead of actually doing it ourselves. And then that was expensive because each shelf was like $20 to $30. And of course, depending on what style you wanted as well. But this was actually the cheaper way to do it. And honestly, the better way to do it, because you can make your own and you can stain it what you want it to stain. It just, I don't know. Sometimes it feels better when you actually do things on your own and then you make those things on your own. It kind of makes you happy and proud that you were able to do something that looks really good and not have to spend like a whole lot of money on it. So after doing our cuts, after sanding the lumber, of course you have to sand it all around. We did the stain. So this is the stain and polyurethane mix. I like this better than actually just staining it. So if you're not aware or you're not really sure, staining, if you just do the stain, the wood stain, it's kind of like a thin liquid, right? And then you would have to wipe it and then to make sure that it's soaked into your wood. The stain and polyurethane mix that we bought, it really is just like painting. So I thought that was easier, and I actually thought it looked good versus just staining. So this is what we did. I really like it. I liked we were trying to go back and forth on what color we wanted, our floating shelves to be. I actually like the darker color. I didn't want it light because the counter was already light. So I thought going darker with the floating shelves and then and then you guys will actually see once we put like the bowls and the canisters up, it looks really good. I thought it looked a lot better than I had imagined. So, okay, with the floating shelves, this is what we did. There's so many different ways to put up floating shelves, and really it's up to you how you want to do it. We saw like the brackets where you kind of just make holes into your lumber and then slip the hole into the bracket. We saw that. We saw the one with the pegs. You know, you could do like the pegs, put a hole in your lumber, put the pegs in, and then put it into the wall. I mean, there's so many different ways. I thought this was the easiest for us, to be honest. Um, all he had to do was kind of put like the grooves into the lumber and then just put the screws into the grooves. And then that was it. So that was like a really easy way for us to do our floating shelves. And this next one here is us doing the floors. It was really nice to start to actually do this and have the floor come together and look really nice. We went back and forth on what kind of floor we were going to do and what color we were going to do the floors. We really wanted to do the vinyl. We really did. However, it was too expensive. It was not in our budget. And just kind of to compare how much that would cost versus what we did. If we were to do the vinyl with the square footage we had, it would have been about $1,100, which is not bad, of course. It's not bad. However, like I said, I'm always about saving money. So we went with the laminate. However, with this laminate, I was really happy. And that is because of the way it looked. We actually got this at like a liquidator that was like near us, and it was $189 a square foot. Yeah, it was about $1.89 per square foot. So this actually only cost us like 330, something like that. It was like it was about 300 something. So you can kind of compare 300 something versus 1,000 something. You know, we're on a budget, and if it's gonna look good, I'm gonna go with it, to be honest. Yes, vinyl probably would have been more durable, you know, and as far as like water resistant and all of that. I do agree. If I had, you know, honestly, if I had the money, I would have gone with vinyl. However, you know, after much debate and going to the liquidators and looking at the floor, we both agreed that, you know, it's better to do the laminate. Really, relatively, the only area that we had to worry about, like water wise, was where the sink was. Sink, you know, where the kitchen is. But we could eliminate that by putting mats down, you know, kitchen mats down and all of that, and you wouldn't have to worry about it. We did think about doing tile in that little kitchen area, but then we just thought it wouldn't look nice because of the flow of the floor, the wooden floors going from the living room to the kitchen. I don't know. I just wanted it more seamless. I said to my husband, whatever we're going to do for flooring, it just has to go from living room to kitchen to the foyer. I wanted this to extend all the way to the foyer. I didn't want to have too many transitions of floors. So I kind of gave the reins on this for my husband to do, as far as even choosing what color he wanted. I thought I would have gone lighter, just based on what I've read and what I've seen online, YouTube videos. A lot of people go for lighter floors when it's small spaces. When I say lighter, it's like that, you know, that birch color. That's what I'm thinking. However, my husband really liked this color. It's gray, but it was like a natural, I don't know, I was gonna say a more natural gray finish, if that makes sense. It's not like the darker ones. I have read online and look at YouTube videos, and they say that you want to go lighter because of space. You want the space to look bigger than what it is, and to not go with anything darker. So, but it looks really good. I'm happy with it. I'm glad he chose it. So, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you guys next time.